Every scenario was first created in your own mind. I'll repeat that. Every scenario was first created in your own mind. Everything we have ever experienced in life, in other words, every experience that we have ever had, we wrote a script for. It's entirely a subjective reality based on us, the observer. For example, if you and 3 friends went to Disneyland, you will have gone on the same rides, you'll have talked to mostly the same people, you'll have seen a lot of the same things, but you will all walk away with a completely different script, which then becomes a memory of what happened that day. So although you shared the same day and many of the same experiences, there will be 4 completely different scripts. And the order of events, like what rides you went on, what time you ate, etc., might line up, but the thoughts, the feelings, and the takeaways will be completely different for every individual that was there that day. And this means that every person there that day created their own version of reality in their own mind. Another example is when you form an opinion about your coworker, friend, family member, neighbor, etc. It doesn't have to be that way. The way that you think and feel about that person was created in your mind and assigned to that person. You created the narrative. What this means is that our mind is incredibly powerful. And if we're aware that we created the script, that it wasn't a fact, but rather our creation, then we also have the power to change it. We can reframe, refile, and rewrite any past or present situation in our life. So for an exercise, notice a story that you constantly tell yourself. This could be something that you think in your mind about yourself or your potential, something that you think about someone else, or it could be a memory that you constantly revisit and replay in your mind. Then I want you to rewrite it in a more positive way. So you want to add something positive to it, a more positive feeling, element, or narrative. Because we go through life thinking that all of these things that we have experienced are facts, when in fact, they are stories that we ourselves created about our experiences, and we assigned these thoughts and these feelings to them. If you don't like the story that you have now, revise it and rewrite it in order to suit you. You have the power to do this because you are the one who originally assigned that particular story to that event. So say for instance, there was a scenario that happened in the past where somebody hurt your feelings. And every time you go back and you think about that memory, you feel like your feelings are hurt all over again. And you keep feeling that negative feeling that you don't like. It keeps coming up. What you can do is you can rewrite that script. You can say, you know what? I don't really know the whole story because I don't know their side of the story. I only know my side of the story. Maybe what happened that day wasn't even about me, but rather a reflection of whatever was going on in that person's mind or day. Maybe it actually had nothing to do with me. And when you tell yourself that version of reality, it allows you to feel more neutral about what happened. And so when you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, why am I even bothered by that anymore? I don't even know what happened really, rather than the memory that you wrote before, the narrative that you wrote before that says, oh my gosh, they hurt my feelings. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with me? Like either way, you wrote the story based on what you thought in your own mind. And if somebody else was in the exact same scenario, their story would look different. So that begs the question, whose story is the right story? Which one is the truth? It's all just what we've constructed. It all came from within us. So here's another scenario. Say somebody looked at you funny. They looked at you and they gave you a weird look. And you internalized it. You said to yourself, they looked at me really weird. Something must be wrong with me. And you're person 1 in this scenario. Now we have person 2. Person 2 in the exact same scenario, no difference in circumstances, wrote themselves an entirely different script, and it went like this. They looked at me funny. Something must be wrong with that person. And they don't internalize it. Instead, they think that person's the one that has the problem, and they just go about their day. And now we have person three. And person three thought that that person's expression was so unusual and funny that they're literally laughing inside, so much so that they can barely control themselves every time they think of the image on that person's face. And they find themselves enjoying the oddness of the experience. Like they got humor out of that. Three different people, three different experiences, all based on the way that they themselves narrated their own experience. So, my question to you is, how are you narrating your experiences? And if something happened to you in the past that you didn't like, what can you do about it now?